Welcome to the New Planner Podcast, where it's all about helping you successfully enter the financial planning profession and accelerate your financial planning career. This podcast will help you understand the profession, become familiar with the various career paths available to you, and avoid the mistakes that limit your success. Join your host, Caleb Brown, to explore the human side of creating a successful planning career through interviews, personal experience, and insights from the trenches. Let's get started.
Welcome to the 244th episode of the New Planner Podcast. This is Caleb Brown, your host. My guest today is Megan Madden, who is a financial advisor at the Bethesda Wealth Planning Group. Megan joins the show today to share her career journey from wanting to go to beauty school to using her knowledge to empower women through financial planning. She shared why she didn't want to go to college at first, but ended up going to a small college and pursuing financial planning because it aligned with her passions. How she secured her internship that led to a full-time job after graduation. Then she goes on to share the transition to moving to a new city with a new firm, working with a new clientele, and then transitioning again away from a salaried position and the challenges and rewards that come from betting on yourself and taking a career risk. I hope you enjoy this episode with Megan Madden. Before we get started, a quick thanks to our sponsor, Dalton Education. Earning the CFP is one of the most powerful ways to launch a career in financial planning. It builds your credibility, boost your confidence, and shows clients you're ready to make an impact on day one. At Dalton, they believe the CFP earns you a seat at the client table, but what you learn in the education program is what keeps you there. Their CFP FastPass program gets you exam ready in just 6 months through a comprehensive instructor-led course. Stay on track and you'll be on pace to pass the CFP exam in under 9 months, start to finish. And to make it even more accessible, they're offering a $3,000 Career Changer Scholarship, or 15% off for listeners of this podcast. Check the show notes for the link and details. Hi, Megan. Welcome to the New Planner Podcast.
Hi, Caleb. Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to diving into your story a little bit more. Why don't you just start with how because I think if I looked at it right, you went to school to be a financial planner like me. So how did you decide to go to where you went and choose the financial planning major?
Yeah, it was actually a pretty interesting path. So I originally did not even want to go to college. I told my parents that I wanted to go to beauty school, and I was honestly just a little intimidated by the thought of going to college. So I ended up going to a small school, the College of St. Rose. It's actually no longer around. It's so small. But the reason I ended up there was because it wasn't overly big, which, I was a little intimidated by some of the bigger schools. And it was only about 2 hours away from where I grew up. So it felt like a pretty happy medium that was not a trade. And I honestly waited until the very last second, second semester, sophomore year of college to declare my major of financial planning. But I ultimately decided on it. I realized I was pretty good at the finance side of things. I was good at the number side of things. But the reason I decided to go with financial planning as opposed to traditional finance or even more of an accounting route is really because I love the people side of things. What I really love about my current job now is that I just get to talk to people all day. I am what's known as a certified yapper. I love to talk, but I really do love just talking with individuals, really building the relationships with my clients, with my prospects. That's what I find most rewarding from the planning side of things, as opposed to, some of the more finance, some of the more accounting based professions.
Got it. Yeah. Perfect blend of sort of the communicative and the analytical, right? I mean, it sounds like
Absolutely.
you're right there. Hey, maybe just talk a little bit more about your current role. We want to learn how you got there, but just since you mentioned it, you're talking to people all day. I mean, what is a financial advisor at Prudential? I mean, what does that mean?
So, a financial advisor at Prudential means that I have a ton of flexibility and I have a ton of independence as to how I want to run my individual practice. So they give us a lot of freedom here. We have a lot of different investment choices, a lot of different ways that I can be successful as an advisor. That's really one of the reasons why I chose to go with Prudential. But for me, some of the things that I do just on the day to day is I have a lot of conversations with individuals anywhere from their early 30s all the way through retirement age. And we talk about their different financial goals and simply what steps we need to help them achieve that. Now, those goals are going to vary based on ages, based on, different instances and different things that they're going through. But my goal at the end of the day is really just to help these individuals get to a better place financially compared to when they first started speaking with me.
Yeah, that's great. We want to sort of work up to how you got there, but let's go back to the college stuff. So you chose financial planning, and then you went through the coursework, and I mean maybe just any memorable moments there, and sort of what you remember, either an internship or the coursework that you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was my college internship that really propelled not just my career forward, but really an interest in financial planning. I think my first internship, and I can expand on that in just a moment here, but that first internship really opened my eyes to what financial planning actually is in practice. It really took it from the textbook to the real world. And my first internship, I was in the ACO division of Goldman Sachs. This is located right in Albany, New York. And I was in their financial wellness department. And in their department, this was essentially a service that was offered as an employee benefit to different Fortune 500 companies. And the benefit for me as an intern is that I was able to really get a crash course in all of these different areas of financial planning all within my internship. And the reason I think it really propelled me forward, I don't think I would have been able to achieve that internship if I didn't really focus on keeping my grades up through college, keeping my GPA up through college. But that internship turned into my very first job out of college. And it was a great job out of college. I could not have asked for anything better in terms of coworkers, in terms of skills that I learned, in terms of licenses that I was able to achieve and accomplish. So I really think that first internship, which really I think was only unlocked because I focused so hard on just keeping my grades up, making myself marketable as an intern. But I think having that internship, having Goldman Sachs on my resume starting at age 19 really helped propel my career.
And peel back the curtain a little more if you would. I mean, it sounds like a great experience. And you mentioned coworkers, licenses, and some skills, but it's a call center, right? You had like remote meetings or something. Maybe just walk us through a little bit of the activity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Caleb, if you were an employee of XYZ company and, XYZ company was our client, you would be able to book a meeting with someone like myself to talk about pretty much anything under that financial planning umbrella. Now, the caveat was that it was all education based. We weren't able to give direct recommendations, but in that, it really opened me up to client conversations. I had upwards of, 9, 10 meetings a day sometimes, and
Wow.
as an individual who is fresh out of college, it gave me the skill of talking to somebody on the phone, which is such a lost skill sometimes and something that is not as valued. I am now always the friend who, when they're like, Megan, can you order the takeout? Can you place the call? I'm always that friend. But essentially, we would work together, and I would provide over the phone coaching to you regarding whatever financial planning topic you wanted to chat further about.
So you were doing that as an intern, or or observing then, and then you moved into doing that full time after college. Is that what I heard?
Correct. So I observed more as an intern and then moved into that role once I, graduated college. But what was also interesting once I did become fully licensed with my Series 7, my 65 and 63, is that I was able to start giving presentations. I was able to start giving financial planning seminars and webinars on things like Social Security, Medicare, how to choose the best healthcare plan when open enrollment rolls around. So again, that job gave me skills not just on the financial planning side of things, but communication. I now consider myself a pretty decent public speaker.
Yeah. It looked like you were there about three, concluding the internship, about 3.5 years. So why did you leave, and then where did you go after that?
So after that, I left Goldman Sachs in early 2020, and that is when I decided to move down to the DC area. It was an early 20s rite of passage where I decided to follow a boyfriend to a new state, but it was fun. We packed up, moved, and that's when I started at UBS and I joined a private wealth team. And that was really exciting because I was coming from the financial education world, the advisory side of things, the client relationship side, the recommendation side of things, and the product sales. This was all very, very new to me. So I was able to essentially be the right hand man of the financial advisor that I was working for in terms of helping prepare financial plans, helping to find additional holes in the book, to deepening those existing client relationships with the financial planning and really just being there for, whatever the financial advisor needed.
Sounds like it was a great next step after your ACO job.
It was a great next step and it was a great jumping off point for where I currently am now.
And then we want to get to that in a moment. So a little bit more about UBS. I mean, was it so it's not the coaching, you're actually giving these people advice. I mean, did you feel confident? I mean, how did you develop the confidence to be able to do that, going from the coaching to the advice giving?
It was definitely a transition, and it was definitely a transition in terms of talking to people with different levels of wealth. I worked with a lot of, general population of employees on the education side of things to now working with ultra high net worth individuals. So that right there, from a confidence standpoint, made me a little nervous. I never had conversations like that before, but luckily working for a company that's, as big as UBS, they had resources, they had additional planning resources that I was able to tap into. And honestly, the more repetitions I did, the more meetings I held, the more I practiced on my friends and coworkers, the amount of times my friends would receive a FaceTime and me saying, "Can I just practice saying this? Can I just practice getting these words out of my mouth
Wow.
first?" I am a big, big believer of practice makes perfect.
Wait a minute. Did you just say you called your friends and practiced on them?
I would,
Eh,
yes, absolutely.
Wow. I love that. I love the practice makes it the repetition. And, I think a lot of newer planners that call me on the recruiting, they're like, they see all these other people and like, man, and it's like, well, they've been at it a long time and they've practiced a lot. I mean, it's just like any other profession. I mean, you see all these people on TV and they're there practicing, when you don't see them. I'm trying to get my kids to like, you're just watching them play the game. You don't know all the stuff they're doing. Like, okay, yeah, whatever, dad. All right. So you were there, well, this was all going on like in a horrible, horrible year. 2020 is when you made the change.
Correct. It was absolutely wild.
Oh,
I started at UBS, I believe my first day was March 1st or March 2nd
oh,
of 2020. So I am brand new to the state of Maryland, coming from New York. I know nobody, and I had about 2.5 weeks in the office before the office shut down. So it was very challenging, not only to learn how to work this new job that I was not very familiar with, that now against everybody's will was now a remote job. Also, from a social standpoint, it was extremely hard, to now
yeah.
move to a new state, be away from my family, be away from my existing friends, not even being able to go out in the evenings. It was challenging.
And so the two jobs that you've had thus far, the one at ACO, and then those have both been employee. You were an employee, you were paid a salary, and you were helping somebody else build a business or grow their business. Okay, I think we got that. So you were there a little over 3.5 years again. Okay, and then you made a move. So where did you go, and why did you make that move?
Yes. So at the end of 2023, I decided to join Prudential and start my own practice. And essentially, why I decided to make the move then, I really always had this feeling in my gut, call it, my intuition or whatever it may be, that I am meant to be a financial advisor. I remember sitting in college when I first started, when I decided, okay, beauty school, glad I didn't go there, glad I'm sticking with financial planning. And I just have this vision of myself running my own financial planning practice, my own firm. So I was looking at some of the work that the advisor at UBS that I was working for was doing. And I just really thought to myself, if I'm going to be him, he started now. He started before age 30. And I just had that calling that, something, the little voice inside my head told me that I could do it. And maybe it was a little impulsive. Maybe I wouldn't have done it exactly the same way if, looking back, hindsight is 2020. But ultimately, I knew that this was the career for me. I knew I wanted to be my own boss. I really wanted and craved that autonomy and that flexibility in my schedule. And I still think that is such a priceless aspect of this career. But I saw this work other advisors were doing, and I thought, I could do that. I see myself doing that.
Great confidence. Yeah, that's amazing. And maybe just talk to us a little bit more about leaving a salaried, let's call it stable, safe, secure situation, and then showing up at the new firm and it's up to you. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's no salary. So how did you navigate that?
It was definitely challenging. I felt like I was a little bit more prepared as opposed to some advisors who jumped into the profession straight out of college. I did have an idea that, you're always told the first 5 years you don't make much money. It's a lot of cold calling. It's very, very variable. So I knew that going into things, but what I also picked up back in COVID, I picked up back in 2021, was coaching Pilates on the side because, I had a little bit of extra free time after my CFP exam, and this is during COVID, and I needed friends. So I became a Pilates instructor. But the reason I bring that up is because that side income was especially helpful when, those first couple months starting out.
And then just talk to us about, like, you're not from the area, right? So you had to go get the clients. How did you do that?
I did a lot of different avenues. I tried a little bit of everything, but truth be told, I've had the most luck with straight up cold calling. It's where I got my biggest client last year. It's where I've got my biggest client year to date for 2025. I tried a variety of different marketing avenues in 2024, my first full year in the business. And I think I just had, too many balls up in the air. And at the end of 2024, I was looking back, analyzing all of my different marketing strategies, seeing what was effective, what was not effective. And cold calling was my most effective means of marketing in 2024. So my goal for 2025 has really just been to double down on that and really lean into that. And that's where I acquire, I would say, probably 85% of my clients.
Wow, that's impressive. Do you have a certain number metric, like I want to have this many clients or this amount of revenue or this AUM, which is pretty common in the business? I mean, is that how you measure this? Or is it like, hey, I'm just going to spend 1 hour each day making 10 cold call? I mean, how do you break out the activities?
So I have to prioritize cold calling throughout my week. If I am relying on it this much for 85% of my client base, I cannot not leave time in my schedule for cold calling. So it requires very diligent, schedule keeping, very diligent time keeping. You have to be very disciplined, but building that into your calendar is how you're going to be able to be most successful in terms of sticking to that cold calling and to that marketing strategy.
I mean, I think the last time I looked at the majority of the financial planners are introverts. So the idea of picking up the phone and calling someone they don't know, I mean, that's scary to them and me. But you just seem to be very, I mean, how did you, is this going back to the Goldman Sachs stuff, like just talking to these people, or how did you develop the confidence to do this and have such great success with it?
I think it does go back to a lot of the Goldman Sachs training just because I think that really just got my feet wet and exposed me to picking up the phone. I promise you, I was not this confident at age 21, fresh out of college, answering a call on estate planning. I wasn't super confident on that. But at this point, I know I'm still on the younger side, but at this point in my career, I've made thousands and thousands of
Wow.
cold calls. I've been cursed at, I've been yelled at. I am from Northern New Jersey. I have probably been called worse on the Garden State Parkway than what anyone on on the other line of a cold call can call me. And, for me, I guess it's just a little bit easier to compartmentalize and, you get someone who hangs up on you, it's on to the next. It's cold calling. There are endless numbers ahead of you to try.
Got it. Yeah. And my sense is if you get enough clients, you can eventually start getting and take good care of them. You can start getting referrals and maybe you would back down on the cold calling, or is it just like, hey, it sounds like you really enjoy it. So I don't, maybe you won't, don't back down on it.
Part of me does enjoy the challenge, but, ultimately, I don't want to be cold calling my entire career.
Yeah.
But I've just found that in terms of different ways to get your career up and lifted, this has been the most successful for me. But yes, you are absolutely right. Where I'm now in the process of the clients that I have had now, we're looking at building out those client relationships, including more of their family members, asking for referrals because as much as I do like cold calling, it's not the long-term plan.
How many clients are you able to serve right now? I mean, is it just you, or do you have other like a admin or somebody that helps you?
So I do have a administrative assistant. She handles more of the scheduling side of things. So it doesn't help too much in terms of the marketing or the processing side of things. I would say I typically service, I would say between 6 to 8 clients a week in terms of different meetings I'm holding, different businesses we're processing.
Got it. And then I'm just trying to get a sense of what your capacity is. I mean, do you have that back there? Like, I'm going to cap out at 100 clients or some other number? I mean, have you thought all that through?
Yes. So right now I'm sitting at right around 30 clients, but I'm probably going to cap out between 1 and 125.
Okay, so you've still got some room to build then. Okay, got it. Let me put you on the spot just for a moment. We'll just do a little initial slight role play. Like you find me somehow, or find my phone number, I guess on the internet or somewhere, or and you call me up. Like what's kind of the first thing that you say to get me to not hang up?
Well, my main hook, once you're on the phone, I say, "Hi, is this Caleb?" And you say,
Yeah,
"Yes, it
Caleb.
is." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm a financial advisor. I'm on a team with the Bethesda Wealth Planning Group, and I'm reaching out because a lot of individuals just like you are not utilizing the enhanced retirement benefits of their HSA. So the reason for my call today, I just wanted to ask you, are you currently working with an advisor on this?"
Okay, I like that. I mean, that's different than calling saying, "Hey, I got something that no one else can give you," or you invest with me and we'll get you a better rate of
Yeah.
return. And I've had some other wirehouse advisors come to my class at University of Georgia and talk, and some of them have built some very big, successful businesses doing just this. I mean, it's amazing to me. I have like the do not call list, and like when I'm calling, can't sometimes they don't even answer my call. We have an interview scheduled because it's like the phone won't ring. It blocks it, right? It's like
Yep. Yep.
so. This is like you have a lot of landmines out there to navigate. So thanks for walking us down that, and maybe just talk a little bit more because you're also a CFP and a CES. Maybe tell us what a CES is, and then we can go into the CFP for a moment.
Sure. So a CES is a certified estate and trust specialist. I acquired that designation after I already acquired the certified financial planner designation because I wanted to deepen my estate planning knowledge. I think that's a really underutilized tool in a financial advisor's tool belt. And it's often something that clients want to talk more about. Clients have a need for estate planning documents 9 times out of 10. Have you revisited your will? Oh, maybe. Oh, I did it 15 years ago. there's a real need to have these conversations. And if you're able to set yourself apart by saying that you have this designation, I am certified to, that I can talk about this topic in a little bit more detail, I think it just really helps set you apart from the competition.
And when did you sit for the CFP or pick the CFP up?
So I started studying for the CFP in September of 2020, and then I sat for it in March of 2021.
2020 was a big year for you.
It was a big year for me. Yes, it was, the winter of 2020 was coming around. It was not looking good, as we all remember, and I wanted to use the downtime productively. And I also never really saw myself going to grad school. I never really saw myself getting an MBA. I wanted to go a little bit quicker than that. I didn't necessarily want it to be as drawn out. So I decided to sit for the CFP exam. I had already achieved all of the education requirements through my bachelor's degree. So over that 6-month period from September through March, I really just grinded, studied, and then sat for the exam.
And way to use the downtime. I mean, that was really smart. This has been great, Megan. I mean, we could talk for a lot longer, and really interesting story. As we're closing out here, I mean, any final tips or thoughts, words of wisdom that you'd like to leave the New Planner audience with?
No, I think this was a great opportunity, and I think, there's a lot of different ways that one can find themselves in a financial advisor role. And also a lot of different ways that you can make the financial advisor role yours. It's not a cookie cutter profession, and that's one thing I really love about my job is that I'm really able to make it my career, what I want to do and the good that I want to put out into the world.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, Megan.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the New Planner Podcast. If you're ready to discover the top career paths for financial planners and see which track is best for you, we created a free guide to help you. Grab your copy of the Financial Planner Career Roadmap at newplannerrecruiting.com/roadmap. There, you'll also find more tools and resources all created to help you build a successful financial planning career. Tune back in next week for another episode, and until then, we're here to help you succeed.